Hello there. It's another book review. Now, I said and to myself when I was like, okay, I want to start doing book reviews, that I would not review a series halfway through unless I started reviewing from book one. However, I'm one of those people. It is very difficult for me to reread a book. So, anyway, this is not the first book in this series. I wasn't going to. I said I wasn't going to do this, but then I read it and I want to talk about it. So this is Midnight Ruin by Katee Robert. It is book 6 of the Neon God series, and I am obsessed. And I need more, and I already have the next one on pre-order. So in order to review this book, I have to tell you the lore and the backstory of it, obviously. This is book 1, Neon Gods. This is between Hades and Persephone. However, it is not exactly how you think it is. In the first book, it is established that everything takes place within the city of Olympus. Olympus is a city on Earth, does not specify which country, but I'm assuming America because I'm American and we assume everything happens here. But how it is that it takes place more or less in a non-magical world aside from the barriers. The barrier surrounds the city and basically has it so that unless you are invited in, you're not going to get in. It's too painful to get through the barrier. And even whenever you do have an invitation, like Persephone and her family did, it's still not a pleasant experience. Which, if you know about how it was in ancient Greece, that's how it was with the city-states. They were so far separated from each other that they were able to actually be themselves and grow organically within themselves until, invasion happened. But that's history. That's a whole nother thing. It then goes into how the government is set up. The government is set up with the 13 being the most powerful people who run the city, and they are in charge of separate things. Zeus is seen as the big head honcho. He's the one in charge of everything. Beneath him, there are the other 2 legacy positions, which are positions that are handed down from parent to child, not father to son, parent to child. The 3 legacy positions being, of course, Zeus, like I said, Hades, and Poseidon. However, in the first book, there was a whole thing of Hades being the boogeyman. He didn't exist. The position was vanished, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, he was just in the lower city because the city is separated from the upper city, and the lower city cut through by the river Styx. The river Styx having its own barrier, so it is hard to go from upper city to lower city. However, you can get through with an invitation. It's just before Hades reintroduced himself to everyone, you weren't exactly getting an invitation from a ghost. By the way, it has a map, which that's just awesome. I love a book with a map. And the other positions are, which I'm pretty sure you can guess what they are if you know Greek mythology. So all 13 positions: Zeus, Poseidon, Hera, Demeter, Athena, Ares, Dionysus, Hermes, Artemis, Apollo, Hephaestus, and Aphrodite. Each one doing different things based on their role. So an example is that Aphrodite, you find out in one of the later books, is that she runs the marriages, right? If you want a political marriage, you go to Aphrodite. So if you wanted a political marriage in order to keep your family line kind of thing, you would go to Aphrodite and she would set you up with somebody. But that's just the setup for this. This book is also really good. I highly recommend all of the, just read the series. Now on to this one. So each book in the series focus on different couples. So it starts off with Persephone and Hades, like I said, and then it goes into Psyche and Eros. The third one is Helen of Troy with Achilles and Patroclus. It's a threesome. Very nice. Then it is Cassandra and Apollo. Then the 5th one is Eris, Theseus, Adonis, and Pandora. It's hard to remember everyone. And in this one, it's Eurydice, Chiron, and Orpheus. Sometimes it's a little hard to remember names. This is one of those series that if you do already know Greek mythology, it's really fun to put everything together. However, it will trip you up a little bit because you're like, wait a second, just constantly. With that being said, finally, let's get into what happens in this one. So, things that I liked about this book. First of all, I love the pacing of this one a lot better than the other ones. Katee Robert, at least from the books that I've read from her, has definitely a pattern when it comes to timing in which things get rushed through, especially for the series. You will have a whole lifespan of love put in, and then all of a sudden you look at it and you realize the whole thing took place in like 3 days. And it would kind of drive me crazy because it's, yes, the pacing of the book is amazing. It's just like the pacing of the actual pages and the actual story, amazing. But then putting it into perspective for me is like one of those things of like, what are you doing? Why are you so in love and you've only known this person for 3 days? But please stop. Like this, the first book was okay with it, right? It happened over the course, I think, of like 2 months. But then the second one, I think that's the reason why I keep using the number three, because I'm pretty sure that happened in 3 days, if not within a week. Actually, I think most of this, like, the books will take place in a week, but then the time span for the entire story is like, I think now we're going on almost a year. This book, along with the one that is with Cassandra and Apollo, definitely do a lot better because they took 5 years before they started. I'm sorry, I keep going into the other books of the series. This is just my hyperfixation. And when I say I can talk about this forever, I mean, like, I'm kind of worried about how long this video is going to be. Anyway, the time span thing is kind of fixed in this one because the relationships happened off book. You have Chiron and Eurydice. Chiron has been taking care of Eurydice for the entire year that she has been in the lower city because she got betrayed by her ex-boyfriend Orpheus. He accidentally led her into a trap that let her get very hurt, both physically and emotionally. And it was just an all over messy breakup. She was his muse, which, if you've ever dated anyone who is in the artistic world, being someone's muse is not always a good thing. They then proceed to not really necessarily see you as a person. And where Orpheus was at that time in his life, well, he was a spoiled brat. He didn't really see her as a person. He didn't see anyone as a person. He just saw himself. He just wanted to make art and be loved. I don't know. I really like the character development. I'm not going to lie. Basically, where he was whenever he and Eurydice were dating is that he genuinely loved Eurydice. He just didn't know how to love her right because he couldn't get his own head out of his own ass. His brother is Apollo, one of the leaders of the entire city, one of the most popular people in the city. Everyone looks up to him. His mother was already a model, and his dad, if I remember correctly, is a doctor. He has nothing to worry about. He was in the limelight, and that's where he felt he was supposed to be. Granted, he would rather just be in his art studio painting, but either way, he knew the persona and he played it well. Eurydice, being the daughter of Demeter, let me tell you how connected this girl is. Eurydice is connected to multiple leadership positions. Her sister, Persephone, yes, her sister is Persephone. Her sister is married to a legacy position, Hades. Her mother is Demeter. Her other sister is Hera, who used to be Callisto, but now is Hera because she married Zeus. That's a whole nother thing. And her fourth sister is Psyche. Psyche married Eros. However, even though he's not a legacy position, he's not exactly something to sneeze at. So this one person is very well connected. Here she is in the lower city. She got her heart torn out and stabbed. So now here she is trying to find where she belongs in everything. A family full of powerful people. She wants to find a purpose. And here is Chiron taking care of her, being her personal bodyguard most of the time. A year of taking care of her, a year of him being in her presence, a year of her being in his presence, they naturally fell for each other. They just never really went for it because she felt like she couldn't give him what he deserved, which was all of her, because she was still hung up on her ex. Chiron, being the dreamboat that he is. Also, Chiron is Hades' right-hand man. I'm not sure if I said that or not, but here it is. Chiron being Hades' right-hand man, while Eurydice is in the lower city, he is in charge with taking care of her, watching over her. He's also the head of security for the lower city. They naturally fell in love. It is a year of pining that is all off book, but it still felt just as strong. Chiron then makes his feeling known, and Eurydice makes her feelings known. Chiron says, I don't need all of you, I just need you, because being without you is becoming too much. Eurydice goes for it. Now, what happens whenever Chiron, in order to try to bridge the gap and fix what is broken, he then goes to the upper city, to Orpheus's apartment, and tells him, fix what you can with Eurydice so that I can have her and I can have all of her, because you fucked up and now I'm here. Orpheus, not really liking that, decides I'm going to do it so that way the woman I love can move on because I fucked up. And then he finds Chiron fucking her in the car. Bruh, it was so good. It was so good. Chiron is goals. This, I said it before, I've said it, I'll say it a million times. Whenever I finally get into another relationship, I'm literally going to hand over certain books and be like, this is what I like. This is what I like. This is going to be one of those books. I want Chiron. Oh, by the way, this book is hella spicy. Obviously, I think I forgot to say that, but absolutely. It is smut with plot. There's a lot of plot, but mainly smut. But mainly plot. There's a lot of plot, but there's smut. And it's good smut. If you know Katee Robert, it's nothing but smut. And I'm okay with that. The rest of the book then takes place of them developing their relationship. Eurydice trying to decide if she wants one or both. The answer is both. The answer is always both. When you can no longer read love triangles because you're like, why don't you just get them both? I realized I was talking about the likes and then I just kind of started describing what happened. So let me go back to the things that I like. I like how all of the love and all of the building may not be on page, but it's felt just as strong. Eurydice and Orpheus' relationship took place entirely off book, even before the series. And yet you still feel the relationship as it's described in the pages of the book. They describe how things were, the things that they wanted, the things that they did, the things that they wished they did. They described all of it, and yet you don't feel like, oh, it was just described off book. It is what it is. They're just kind of filling us in. It was being filled in, but it didn't feel like that, if it made sense. So that helped a lot with the pacing. Now, granted, Orpheus and Chiron did start having feelings for each other, but they didn't immediately fall in love with each other. It was by the end of it, I really like you. It's not love, but I can see myself falling in love with you. All three of them said, I like what we have here and I want to build on it. It feels very natural versus the unnatural of, oh my God, I love you in like 3 days. Do I love those stories? Absolutely. Will I fall for it every time? Again, yes. Do I want to read it all the time? No. Another thing I like about this book, the characters are all old. Let's face it, most fantasy books that you pick up, even with like smut, is going to be the younger side. You're going to get 18, 16, which is gross. Maybe 20, 21. It's like, yay, you can drink. Okay. Is your brain fully developed? Like, no. All the characters in all these books are, if they're not 30, they're close to 30. As a 27-year-old, I really appreciate it because I don't want to read about 20-year-olds having sex. I love the thought process between each character and I love how realistic it is. I love how Orpheus is trying to make amends and is obsessed with redemption and making amends to Eurydice and doing whatever she wants. I love how Eurydice is trying to find out where she wants to be in this relationship because she really wants to know where things go with Chiron, but she's also still in love with Orpheus and she's trying to handle her feelings. And also she's mad, which makes sense. He betrayed her. Orpheus literally betrayed her and set her up for slaughter. Chiron was the one who was there and is helping her pick up the pieces. And now this other person is back, the one who hurt her. So yes, she's mad, but she's also still in love and those feelings are stronger than her anger. And she does, in fact, learn how to handle them. I love how Chiron is open with, I love you and I can have you in the picture. But also, I want everything to come together and be happy. I love how they are in their dynamic. I love how it explores BDSM specifically in a healthy way of beginners. Chiron is the experienced one. Eurydice, though she has watched, she hasn't participated. This is her first time participating. Orpheus, brand spanking new, little baby. Okay, don't put baby in the terms of BDSM, but you understand. He is fresh out of the water. They all are falling into this dynamic, and I love watching it organically happen of Chiron already having these experiences, but Eurydice and Orpheus especially being new to it and seeing what they like and what they don't like and having those feelings of, why do I really, really like this? It's because you're kinky. It's okay. Me too. I like how these characters are explored, and I like how the lore happens simultaneously with it. I like how everything is just taking your breath away, one after the other, especially in this book. This book is set up to have a series on purpose. It's not just love. There's also, I dropped the book. It's not just love, it's also the politics of it, things that are going on in the city. One of the things I didn't mention until just now, my bad, is that I, the main story that is going on throughout all of the books is that the barrier that surrounds Olympus is failing. They have to figure out why, who did it, basically everything: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who, they find out in this book. What, the barrier. When, they're trying to figure out when did it start, why is it starting. That's what I just said, why. And how is it breaking? They don't have all the pieces, and that's been a thing that's kind of been going on since about the third book. Thought it was just going to be a string of romances. Nope, there's lore. So alongside the romance, there's also lore. Eurydice, in order to try to find her place, is playing informant and is trying to get someone from the enemy side onto their side. Chiron is trying to protect her at the same time that he's doing his job. Orpheus is trying to find out where he belongs in this relationship because he has his life in the upper city. Everything is taking place in the lower city. I'm trying not to spoil things, but it's just so good how they're going back and forth in the book between the relationship and the lore and the actual plot line of the story. So then you're going from these amazing scenes to then lore and then back to scenes. It was a point where I think I read this as someone who reads slowly and is dyslexic. I read this in 3 days, I think. I know it was less than a week, which is very hard for me to do. But I've read all of these books in this series in less than a week. I also love the other little things that are in this book. In the first one, they have the map, and they have the map for the first couple of books. But then also, there's this, which I know is small and backwards, but it basically explains the power dynamics of the city. Basically, it explains the most powerful people in the book and how they're related to each other. So inside you have the legacy positions of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, and you also have Hera. Hera in this book is Zeus's wife. That is the position, although she has been getting more power lately. Then you have the rest of the 13, and then you have who the 13 are related to, and it goes power. So it goes most powerful, and that one page explains that. And it helps you remember that. Their main gossip site is called Musewatch. These are Musewatch headlines, which I find so funny and adorable. And also, it helps you remember what else happened. Because Musewatch, again, is their main gossip site. That's where, in the story, where they get a lot of their information from. So in case you couldn't remember because you read the first book like 3 years ago or something, you got a reminder. And then at the end of the book, you got interviews with each member of the 13. I absolutely love little stuff like that that is just contributes to the world building because it is a very simplistic world, but it's very immersive. It's very easy to place yourself in it. I say simplistic in the sense that it is a city that you can see taking place on Earth. The government is just a little bit different, and the slight magic of the barriers is there. But other than that, they're not casting spells. They're not actually gods. They're people. And that's the part that makes it so immersive and very. I feel like I'm talking more about the series than the actual book. So let me try to talk more about the actual book. I love the lore drop. I know I keep talking about it, but I love the lore drop. I love how the little things are like, remember this? Well, now this is effective. And now there's this. And now there's that. I'm trying not to give things away, but it's so, I love it. I love how each thing that happens, you're now trying to put the mystery together of what's going to happen next. Who did this to this person? Blah, 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 blah. It's amazing. Even down to the ending of the book, people got hurt, and I love that. I love when you feel like there is nobody safe, like in Game of Thrones, whenever you felt like at any given second anyone can die. I love that because then it's keeping you on edge. It's not like, oh yeah, they're not going to get rid of that person, it's the main character. You don't know that. So I absolutely love that. I love watching the previous characters from other books, these other couples, I love watching them grow. I love how well thought out this story is. I love seeing the plot points. I love trying to guess what's going to happen next because I have my own guesses and I'm so excited. I hope I'm right, but I also hope I'm wrong because if I'm right, then it's going to cause more pain. But basically, I just love this book and this series. I absolutely recommend it. I think this is one of those stories that is great for book club, spicy book club, very much spice. There is spice in this. Please do not read it. This book is upside down. Please do not read this unless you are 18 or older. I beg of you. And something else that I absolutely love about this book, this series, and this author in particular is that it has trigger warnings listed on the website. So if I can't remember the name of the website, but if you just Google Katee Robert, KATEE ROBERT, you're going to find their website. Go ahead and look at the book, look at the triggers, and they're actually accurate. So this is a really good book. Read it for yourself, but I think it is best read with a friend. I have a friend who is reading the series with me, and we text each other in the middle, and we're just like, I can't breathe. I want this one. And we're like, yes, I know. And then she's over there like, do I want to be him or be with him? And I'm like, you want both. I want to be with him, though. Also, it helps you explore your kinks. Just saying. Highly recommended. 4.5 out of 5 frogs, only because towards the end, it really was just gut punch after gut punch. It's like, I can't breathe. That scene was too spicy. Oh my God, more lore. Oh my God, more spice. I needed air. There was a part where it felt a little bit drawn out to me, but that might have just been my impatience talk. Other than that, if you have any other books that you want me to read, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Just know that I have about 4 other books that have on queue, so it may take me a second to get to yours. Until then, have a wonderful day, and I don't really have a sign off, so okay, bye. I hope to the gods all that made sense because oh my God, what the fuck was I saying?